We're now joined by the South African Social Security Agency spokesperson, Paseka Letsatsi, and he joins us now via our video link. Mr. Letsatsi, thank you so much for your time this evening here on SABC News. Firstly, let's get your reaction as SASSA, looking at that story and what has taken place in Mkhondo. One would say it's quite bizarre.
Good evening, and thanks for having me. I think it is quite bizarre, hence we had to make sure that there's an intervention and we act decisively to make sure that some of these things do not necessarily affect the services of the organization. But I think we also want to warn that if people feel that they want to perform the rituals, there are processes which must be followed, but obviously they've been placed on precautionary suspension while the investigations are taking place, so that we're able to get to the bottom of the matter.
And Mr. Letsatsi, looking at that insert, it's clearly caused, or the closure of the offices has clearly caused serious ramifications for the people from Mkhondo, and some of them saying that they can't even register their children for, their SASSA grants. How is the department dealing with the closure of this office, and yet people need a service?
It is unfortunate that we find ourselves in this kind of a situation, which is extremely unnecessary. But what we have done as management, we are basically using the community hall for people to be able to get services. Because in any case, we can't have a situation where the services which must be provided to our people are disrupted unnecessarily so. But in the process, I think you might have seen that the MEC of Social Development in the province, together with our regional executive manager, went there, and there are certain processes they've made the commitment to make sure that certain things are done in terms of cleansing of the office, so that the employees can then be able to go back to the office on Monday. I think we must make mention of the fact that both of us, everybody would feel uncomfortable that when you come to the office on Monday or on Tuesday or whatever day, you find needles all over, you find the place being sprayed with all sorts of things and so forth. But we think it's important, without undermining the workers, without undermining the beliefs of people, to make sure that the matter is being investigated to get to the bottom of the matter, so that employees can then be able to go to the office and work freely without any form of intimidation whatsoever.
And Paseka, you speak about a cleansing. How are you dealing with that aspect? Because there are people who have their own beliefs, and some may not even believe in a cleansing. As SASSA, how are you managing that kind of a situation?
Look, I think what we do in this instance is to make sure that we do not necessarily offend anybody, but secondly, we try whatever possible to make sure that we follow proper processes, to make sure that people are comfortable. You are quite right. There are people who do not believe in these things, but there are those with strong belief that they think if they go to the office, whatever thing can happen. And we don't want tomorrow as management to take a hardline stance and say employees must go to the office and we not basically do anything, because we don't want tomorrow to be blamed if certain unfortunate situation would happen to the employees of the organization. We try to treat this matter with the sensitivity it deserves. The MEC basically met with the employees, and we try to make sure that we bring everybody comfort. The intention here is to make sure that when people go back to the office, they are comfortable. We will do whatever it takes as an organization to listen to the employees, and whatever suggestions they bring to the forth, we'll make sure as management to make sure that everybody, when they go to the office, they are comfortable in terms of their beliefs, because we also don't believe that somebody must impose their belief on other people. Somebody goes to the office at night and do all sorts of things. But I'm very much careful here, because the 2 employees have been suspended.
Yeah.
We also don't want to discuss the merit and the demerits of the case, such that tomorrow they will use this clip and say, I made certain statements, obviously, which would put them in a negative light. I think that would be perfect to say we're intervening as management to make sure that the services are not disrupted.
And maybe give us a state of how the employees are feeling about what has taken place, in their offices, and hence why this decision had to be taken to ultimately close these offices for the past 3 weeks.
Look, I can tell you, employees were very traumatized with this particular thing. It obviously depends on one's belief. Some people are in office or lawyer. You can understand how people feel about some of these things. But we think it's important to understand that they are traumatized. Hence, there are certain processes which we have set in motion to make sure that if people have to go through counseling, if people had to be, if whatever that they think it will make them comfortable when they come to the office, at least as management, we may need to make sure that we meet halfway. We meet them halfway. But I think I must make mention of the fact that at the center of all what is happening is that our people must get services. I'm sure the clip there, you had the community say we're not getting services because the office is closed and they have to travel distances to make sure that they make application.
Yes.
We don't want that. And we think that those people who came to the office, they should have acted in a more responsible way.
And
put the staff.
Yeah, and coming to exactly that, I mean, when can the community of Mkhondo officially see this office being reopened?
With the meeting that we had with the staff, we believe that by Monday, the officials would have to go back to the office because there are certain things which we committed to do to make sure that services are rendered to our people. But like I'm saying, we also have to be sensitive to those particular employees in terms of how they feel. Some of them, I can tell you now with authority that they feel traumatized in terms of going back to the office. And we feel that we shouldn't be discussing such things. It's so embarrassing and very bad that some of these things are happening at the expense of service delivery and at the expense of other staff members.
All right, Mr. Letsatsi, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. That is Paseka Letsatsi, the South African Social Security Agency spokesperson.